Budapest is electric. It's like a dramatic thriller, and fans remain on the edge of their seats following another dramatic day in the Hungarian capital. Here's the basic wrap of day 4. No medals for the English-speaking Caribbean from 4 finals contested. Let's have a look, starting with the men's high jump final. This one won by the joint Olympic champion Gianmarco Tamberi of Italy, clearing 2.36 meters, same as the American Javon Harrison. Of course, Harrison's parents Jamaicans, and Mutaz Essa Barshim of Qatar, the defending champion, having to settle for bronze this time around at 2.33 meters, as is customary in the men's high jump in these global championship finals. You see a number of athletes ending at the same height. But Tamberi, the Olympic champion, has a world title as well. There was also the women's discus throw final. This one going to Tasaga of the USA. This was an absolute thriller, a massive personal best on her final attempt of the competition, denying fellow American Valerie Allman, who looked a winner. And then Bin Feng of China secured bronze at 68.20 meters. Women's 1500 final. They're saying she is the greatest 1500 meter runner of all time. Her name, Faith Kipyegon, and she has another world title, 354.87, another sublime performance. Malteji finished second at 355.69, the Ethiopian, and Sifan Hassan, who fell in the 10,000 final when she was clearly on her way to a medal, gets the bronze medal this time around over 1500. She still has the 5,000 to come. And to close the show, the men's 3,000 steeplechase final, and this one was expected to be exciting, but in the final analysis, Safan El Bakali defended his title quite comfortably. 8:03.53 the winning time. Lemaitre Germa falling short once again at 8:05.44, and Abraham Kibiwat 8:11.98 securing the bronze medal. So at the end of day number 4, this is how the medal table looks. The United States of America at the top with 12 medals, 6 of them gold. Spain with 2 medals, and they are both gold medals. Ethiopia with 6 medals, 1 gold, 3 silver, and 2 bronze. And you'll see Jamaica down in 13th position with 3 medals, 2 silver, and a bronze. Jamaica, the only English-speaking Caribbean country to secure a medal in Budapest so far. Well, yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic at the World Athletics Championships, and as usual, we are joined by Leighton Levy, content editor at SportsMax.tv, and our in-house analyst, the very best in the business, in all honesty, and that's why we keep inviting him on this show. Leighton Levy, what a day in Budapest. I was saying at the top of the show that I was excited about the World Athletics Championships because of how unpredictable I expected the events to be, but I could not have predicted how unpredictable it has turned out. Another dramatic day in the Hungarian capital.
Absolutely. These are days of our lives. The World Championships, because...
Is that the soap opera you grew up on?
I did not watch them, but I know of them. But the thing about it is that, no, seriously, it's been crazy from day one. There's been these unexpected events. I mean, Hassan falling, you know, Femke Ball falling. No, today Stephen Gardiner. You know, the 100 win wasn't much of a unexpected. I mean, you know, we always thought that Sha'Carri Richardson had a chance to win, but there are so many different dynamics in these World Championships. It's not just the performances, but the unexpected things. Like today, Stephen Gardiner's cruising towards winning the semi-final heat, and then boom, and then the thing that really got me going today was watching young Antonio Watson. When I saw him come off the curve, I'm like, I have my stopwatch on him, and I'm like, he's going to run under 44.5. And he run, because he ran 44.54 at national championships. This makes him the 3rd fastest Jamaican ever, yes, behind
McDonald,
Rashid McDonald, of course, Akeem Bloomfield,
and tied with Nathan Allen.
Nathan Allen, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the things that you're seeing at these championships is why, to me, track and field is the greatest sport.
All right, let's track back a little bit and deal with the Stephen Gardiner issue before we have a deeper conversation about Antonio Watson's performance. This is going to be massively disappointing for Gardiner because he missed last year's World Championships in Eugene, Oregon. This was a sort of redemption year for him. Everything looked on course for him to win a second world title, and then this.
Yeah, coming into the championships with the fastest time in the world this year, 43.74. And other than Samakonga, you're looking at somebody who, for all intents and purposes, was the heavy favorite to win this event. There was nobody else in the world close to him this year. So it was just a matter of whether or not he would make it through the rounds and, of course, head on to the championships. So it was stunning to watch him collapse to the track. It looks like a hamstring injury. I'm not quite sure what it was because I haven't heard anything yet. But it's a massive blow to Bahamas because he was their gold medal prospect because Shawnee Miller-Weaver, obviously coming off of her pregnancy and her childbirth, was not really a medal prospect at these championships. Devine Charlton, we expect her to be in the final, but I don't think anybody expects her to be among the medalists. Yeah. But so Stephen Gardiner was their strongest contender for a gold medal, any kind of medal whatsoever. I know that has been dashed as well. And do you realize that all our picks for gold medal at the start of the championships, there's only one left? And Sharika Jackson.
in the 200. In the 200.
Well, I also picked the women's 4x100, so I have
well,
two
you have
left.
two left.
Let's talk about Antonio Watson because his performance was magnificent. This is a young man that started 2023 with a personal best of 46.17. He's run personal bests 4 times this season. That in itself is special. But to run 44.13 today, how much did that surprise you?
That was a massive shocker.
It was to him as well. You saw his reaction at the end of the race.
Look, the track is fast. We know that. Okay, yeah. But the way he executed that race was virtually brilliant. He controlled the race from the back stretch. He used that 200. Remember, he spent a lot of early part of the season running a lot of 200s, working on that speed. We saw him run that meet. I'm trying to remember which it is. Where he was in a 400, ran the 200, and then stopped. Do you remember that race?
Yeah, that was at an all-comers meet in Kingston.
Right.
Yeah.
So we know he has the speed. And then, of course, I think he dropped on the 45. Then he came to the trials around 44.54. And you kind of expected going to the World Championships, given that he had 6 weeks, to prepare, that he probably would have been in and around that mark at the World Championships, maybe 44.4, maybe 44.3. But to look as comfortable as he did, running 44.13, and looking like he has more in the tank, is absolutely remarkable. I was stunned when I saw the time. Because, as I said, I tend to have these on stopwatches when I'm, unofficial timing, I'm clocking, not because the clock's on the screen, I have my own time. And I realized that he was on pace to surpass his personal best, which was 44.5. But to have almost half a second off it is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he's doing in the 400 prelims what Oblique Civil did in the 100 heats leading up, looking very impressive, almost looking like a gold medal prospect when most people didn't anticipate that, both from the Glenn Mills camp. The other factor is that Ricardo and I were talking earlier on, Mills doesn't have a history of successful 400-meter runners. And this is evidence that the big coach can do the one-lap performances as well.
Absolutely. And, of course, it's a very, very encouraging vibe going on right now for the 400. When you look at Jamaica's history in the 400 meters, right? I mean, Arthur Wint, 48, George Roden, 52, Bert Cameron, 83, are our 3 global champions. But we've had people in the finals before. We've had, the McDonald's, of course, Davian Clark's,
Gregory
Hottons and Roxburgh Martins, that era where we had 444 men. And
there was a Ricardo Chambers who ran 400 as well.
Yeah,
he never made the World Championship final.
I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, but
it's not me, by the way. He's a farmer now.
Big hydroponic farmer in Trelawney, good guy. The reality is that this is turning out to be now maybe the new watershed moment for Jamaica's quartermilers, because you have Sean Bailey, who didn't look particularly convincing in his semi-final heat. But when you consider what has happened this year with a number of 400-meter runners, it's Antonio Watson now caps it off as the guy who is perhaps the best of the lot.
Yeah, let's put wider context to this, Leighton, in terms of what happened in the 400 semi-finals today. Antonio Watson qualified as the fastest from the semi-finals at 44.13. Matthew Hudson-Smith of Great Britain, a European record, 44.26. 44.26 as well for Vernon Norwood, the American. Kirani James got into the final at 44.58. And we saw Jereme Bridges of Trinidad and Tobago missing out at 44.76. And the man that many have or had as the favorite, the world record holder from South Africa, finished down at 44.65. Wade van Niekerk and qualified as a fastest loser.
Yeah. He was in the queue room worrying.
Yes, he was. Yeah. Given everything that happened today, Leighton, and looking ahead to the final on Thursday, is Antonio Watson now the favourite, one of the favourites, has a gold medal shot, would be okay with just a medal? What's the outlook after what we saw in the semi-finals today?
If he can replicate this time today, he will win the gold. He will win the 400 meters.
How about Van Niekerk? Can he turn it around?
Yes, he can. I mean, look, he's run 44.08 this season. I think this semi-final race was just a bad race for him. He gets another crack at this, and we know the quality that he has. Yes. 44.08 this season is not by chance. He's gradually worked his way back since that injury in 2017, and he's gradually come back to close to where he used to be. And I think what we've seen from all of the finalists right now, those times that they're running is not beyond Wade van Niekerk. So yes, I think now that he's in the final, I think he has a good a shot as any. I think Antonio Watson, if we can replicate that 44.13, he will be on the podium though.
Yeah. Any chance for Kirani?
I'm not sure. He looked really. Normally Kirani James comes home strong. Today he looked like he was really struggling. I think the loss of his coach Harvey Glance at the juncture when he did may have impacted his preparation a little bit more than usual. And I think it's going to probably cost him a place on the podium, because I don't see him running faster than that 44.5 that he ran today. He looked really heavy. I mean, normally Kirani is flowing down the
But he looked fluent in the first 300 meters, but down the home stretch.
Yeah, when that bear jumps on your back,
yes,
trust me, you need to be as strong as possible and as relaxed as possible. And what I saw today did not look like the Kirani James that I usually see coming home.
I just want to say before we leave the 400s that almost 2.5 years ago on this show, we were discussing Antonio Watson, but it wasn't for a good story, because he was running at Champs, ran past an opponent and did the gun finger thing and reloaded. And so it was a part of his youth career that sort of stained the brand. But I am seeing a mature athlete now who has put that behind him, and I'm wishing him the best.
Yeah, but like spoke to him at the national championship.
Ricardo seems to find it funny. I'm not sure why.
I find it funny because I almost want to say let's wait until Thursday and see what happens.
Whether he medals or not, I'm just saying the performance today and his improvement.
His reaction to medaling is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So wait until Thursday and see how he reacts to medaling before you go exactly where you are going.
If he wins and shoots and somebody coming second, then the world will explode. But the reality is this. I had a chat with him at the national championships when he finished second to Sean Bailey. And what I found in him is somebody I think who is now finally at that level of maturity. Lance alluded to it a while ago. A maturity that is required when you're competing at this level, to understand what your talents are and how to best, maximize or manipulate that talent to your own benefit. And I think in that conversation, and a conversation that we had afterwards with John Jones and a couple of other guys after the trials were over, there's a sense now that Antonio Watson actually believes that he can do the things that people think he can. Yeah. And I think that's very important for him going into this final. And I think, as I said before, he'll have a day to rest and recover. if he can replicate anything close to what we saw today, he will be on the podium.
Yeah, we definitely look forward to that. Antonia Watson, the 2017 World Under-18 champion, now trying to become a senior champion, or at least a senior medalist in Budapest. Well, the women's 400-meter hurdle semi-finals also took place today. There were 3 Jamaicans in the field. All 3 of them made progress to the championship race. And there is the lineup for the final. Genevieve Russell, the 2-time Commonwealth Games champion, getting through, finishing 3rd in her semi-final, advancing as a non-automatic qualifier. Anjanette Knight also getting through. She finished 2nd in her semi-final, and Rochelle Clayton, who was starting lane 8 in the final, qualified with a lifetime best 53.30. Of course, Rochelle Clayton, the World Championship bronze medalist from 2019. The fastest qualifier was Shamir Little of the USA, a 52.81 clocking. Femke Ball, who comes in as the favorite, won her semi-final as well in 52.95. Importantly, the American, the outstanding American, you can call her a legend of the event, Dalila Muhammad, for the first time in a global championship, will not medal. She has medaled every single time she has represented the USA at a global championship. That will not happen this time around because she did not make the final. Leighton Levy, at the start of the World Championships, I thought to myself, this event could provide, well, this event should provide at least 1 medal for Jamaica and possibly even 2. But having seen the heats and the semi-finals, I am now not 100% sure, because one, Adekoya comes into the picture alongside Ball, alongside Shamir Little, who looked fantastic. And the best of the Jamaicans in the semi-finals looked like Rochelle Clayton, or was Rochelle Clayton. But it's going to be a real dogfight in this final, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think, you know, to support your point, I think Rochelle Clayton looks like she has the ability to go faster than 53.3. She eased down significantly after the last hurdle. So suggest, I remember having a chat with her after she won the bronze in 2019 in Doha, and her target was to get to 52 by the following championships. But as you know, she had significant injury issues and only managed last season to get back in some level of health. What we're seeing from Rochelle Clayton is someone who is trending towards that target eventually. And I think 53.3 today, looking the way she did, suggests to me that if any Jamaican ends up on the podium, it will be her. Because I'm not particularly impressed with Anjanette Knight's run today in the semi-final, and of course being in the same camp as Dalila Muhammad. As I mentioned previously, that camp has been struggling all season. I don't know what has gone wrong with the program, but nobody has looked good from that camp this season. Certainly none of the women anyway. And of course Anjanette Knight, maybe she needs an adjustment in strategy, because she goes out hard, which is, I think that's basically what everybody does, but she doesn't have the energy to come home.
Wasn't there a slight adjustment in strategy today, though? Because it seemed to me that at about 200, she eased off a little bit.
Seems that way.
And didn't go as hard to 300 as she usually does.
It seems that way, but when I was watching it live, the first thought that hit me was that she ran out of gas. So I don't know if that is the case. I probably need to watch it again to look and be a little bit more focused on
I didn't think she ran that badly, but you know.
No, but 53.7 tells you that it wasn't a really good race, especially given that the times that were ahead of her. You know, if Dalila Muhammad had a better finish, which I didn't expect anyway, she probably would have been on the bubble looking not to make the final. And the concern on their face, both of them afterwards, when she was stooped on, Dalila was leaning over her. It looked like they were both wondering what has gone wrong or what has not gone right. So maybe there's an adjustment. I don't know if it's too late now for her to make an adjustment in strategy, but whatever she did today is not going to be adequate enough for her to even challenge for a position on the podium. And of course, Genevieve Russell I'm concerned about, because she has a tendency to shuffle in the last 3, 4 hurdles, which I think costs her big chunks of time. And she can't go into the final and do that. She has to maintain that rhythm, and that rhythm is what's going to carry her home and maybe put her on the podium. But for right now, Rochelle Clayton looks like the likely Jamaican to be on the podium.
Yeah, I thought Genevieve Russell went out a little bit too slowly today in the semi-final. She spoke to it post-race, so hopefully that will be corrected. Remember, the World Athletics Championships live on the SportsMax app in 15 territories across the region, so check our listings. I'm sure you're watching by now, if it is, of course, in your area. We take a break on the SportsMax zone, but there is still more World Championship action to discuss after the break. Stay with us.